The following is rated TV-MALATA. It contains strong language, violence, VHS tapes, and excessive amounts of Larry Talbot. It is intended for freaks and weirdos only. Viewer discretion advised. Memories. They are like two-headed snakes with a grudge. When the night comes with menace and terror clinging close, your old friend recollection will pump venom deep into your veins. None of this makes sense, but that's okay, for the gaping and bloody maw of nostalgia awaits just beyond the next field of crimson VHS tapes. Welcome to Retrographic Horror. Greetings one and all, and welcome back to Retrographic Horror. I'm your host, Darshan Orwells. In tonight's episode, we will explore the nostalgic world of VHS tapes. For many, VHS tapes are nothing but relics from a bygone era. They're landfill fodder, trash, yard sale leavings. And yet for others, VHS tapes are precious and invaluable. For instance, if I were to hold up, a copy of Demon Wind with the original lenticular cover, the layman would roll their eyes and walk away. However, a VHS collector would immediately shit themselves with excitement and wonder, do I know the value of this tape, and could they, perhaps, snap it up for, say, 25 cents? I got this for 25 cents. Tonight's episode of Retrographic Horror takes us inside the minds and memories of three VHS enthusiasts. Anthony J. Rapino, prime overseer of the Candy Corn Apocalypse and three-time winner of the Camp Beaver Lake Sexiest Ass competition. Anthony Rapino insisted we invite our next guest. Repeated attempts to torture him in standard retrographic horror fashion resulted in excessive nipple play and repeated and aggressive requests for hot, frothy urine. It's not that I don't trust the guy, it's just that he refused to give us his real name and insists we call him Larry Talbot, as if none of us have ever seen Universal Monsters. Despite my many emotionally charged protests, Mr. Rapino insisted on including our next guest and self-proclaimed pubic artist, Larry Talbot. Enjoy.
Hi, everybody. It's old Larry Talbot here, owner of Monster Movie App. I've been kidnapped by douche gargles and tortured, forced to drink a glass of my own hot piss. And he's requested that I tell you a story about VHS from my childhood. Regarding horror or Halloween, something like that. So I have a touching one that's really affected my life. In my hometown, there was a hospital, or a home, you might say, for, crazy people but not like really fucking crazy. Like, you know, like just a little off, challenged mentally. Those people couldn't keep anything in their rooms. So my friend and I would go out, and we knew where they would go to stash stuff, particularly like magazines, like pornographic magazines, if you will. So we knew where they would go. It was like behind like a garage that was off property. They didn't want to get busted with their fucking, you know, jacking it in San Diego in their room. So I think they would go into the woods, like right behind this building, with their porno magazines and spank the monkey. So we knew where they stashed their stuff. We went there one day, and there was a fresh supply, like Hustlers and Swank. And, you know, we would do the same thing because you lived at home with your parents. You know, we're talking like 12, 11 years old, something like that. You know, it wasn't a lot. If you got busted with a porno mag, it was fucking, you know, lights out for you. So we would just look at their magazines. We would like take them and find a place in the woods and look at the porn magazines. My buddy decided to take one home one day, which was ballsy. It was ballsy. I never did. He took one home. I believe it was a Hustler. For fans out there, Hustler. And he came to me like the next day, and he was like, "Holy shit, dude! Like, there's a fucking ad in here for that you can buy VHS, porno VHS, and they were cheap." He was like, "Man, if we could just get one, we would have a porno to watch always." And he was like, "But, you know, like, where would we get it delivered? We can't get it delivered to, like, my house." And I was like, "You know, fuck it. Let's use my address." Like, my parents were pretty cool, so I wasn't really that afraid of getting busted by my parents. So, and I got the mail a lot. I was there and got the mail a lot, so I was pretty confident that I could get it. So we gathered, like me and my friend and I and like a group of guys, all of our friends. We got the money together and went and got the money order from the bank, and we sent away for it. Back in the day, before the internet, everyone.
Now that I've gotten on the internet, I'd rather be on my computer than doing just about anything.
It's really cool.
The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities. So I guess this is a story of how it changed our lives. Maybe it will yours too, with the Kid's Guide to the Internet.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
I'm dating myself. I know, I look 20, but like, I'm not. You get the money order, you send it away, and then, like, you know, you might as well forget about it. It's going to be like, they said 4 to 6 weeks. It was like, you know, 18 weeks, it felt like. So we kind of forgot about it. And then one day, it came in the mail. It's Camp Beaver Lake. Camp Beaver Lake. Check it out. If you ever get a chance, go find Camp Beaver Lake. I think it's on Pornhub. You can just watch it for free. It's a classic. It's one of the classics. Finally get the porno. Then we need a place to fucking watch it. We go to my, you know, and like you got to time it. Parents have to be gone. Somebody with a VCR. Not everybody had VCRs. They were like fucking $500 back then. You know, we had to time it out. Finally, like, I think my friend's parents were going out of town for the weekend, and like, he was being watched by somebody, but they weren't around. So like, we finally got a chance to do it. It was like a Saturday afternoon. We all got together. We loaded Camp Beaver Lake into the old VCR, and we started watching it. And it was glorious. You know, it was glorious. My fondest memory of that day was like my fucking goofball friends. I didn't do it, I swear to you. But my goofball friends would like, they would stand up and show everybody their erections. Now, I'm not talking like, you know, pulling your pants down or anything, so just calm down. They would just like, you know, we were wearing shorts, or I think it was summertime. We were wearing shorts, and they stood up, you know, like just pitching a fucking tent, a full fucking tent. And it was at that moment that it dawned on me that the ultimate Halloween costume would be like a full clown, a traditional clown costume with makeup and everything. You know, the big shoes, the baggy pants, but, you know, inside the baggy pants, if you got like, you know, just a gigantic, like the biggest fucking strap-on dildo you could fucking get. Just that massive, like horse one. Like 15 pounds of fucking latex or silicone or something. And you had that, like, so you just had, like, the baggy pants with, like, a massive fucking, like, horse boner. And there it was. The best idea for a Halloween costume ever. I have yet to do it, but, you know, it was that moment. You know, it reminded me when he said, when Douche Gargles forced me to do this, it reminded me of that Halloween idea, and, you know, it's a little nostalgic. I'm Larry Talbot, owner of Monster Movie App, and that's my story. Now, get the fuck out of my house.
It's rare that we would get a return guest here at Retrographic Horror. For one thing, our accommodations are, let's say, substandard. For another reason, we pay our contributors with cloth scraps that they're not allowed to take home with them. Still, Amy Blair insisted that we let her contribute to the VHS extravaganza. She even requested that we don't go easy on her. Dear viewers, I promise you, we did not. Please welcome our next guest and return contributor, Amy Blair.
Hey guys, welcome to Amy's Autopsy Report. My name's Amy. This video is going to be for another episode of Retrographic Horror. Thanks to Anthony Rapino for asking me to be a part of this episode. I couldn't be happier because this episode is about VHS tapes. I will tell you a brief story about why I collect VHS tapes and VHS sort of like memories. When I was in junior high and high school, I think starting from about the age of 10, so it was a little bit before that, we had a small mom and pop video rental store here in my hometown, and it was about a mile away from my house. Every Friday night, from the time I was probably 10 to the time I was about 17, my brother and I used to go every Friday night to get pizza and the video store. The video store here was called Classic Family Video. And when you walked in the door, it looked actually like an old house that had been kind of converted into a store. You'd walk up a couple of stairs, and that was like the front entrance. Go through the door. On the right side was the counter where you actually rented the movies. And on the left side, you had all the new releases and comedies and dramas were all around that area. But the best part was you went down about, I think it was about 4 steps. You went down 4 steps into this room. And it was like, there was a doorway there. And from floor to ceiling on the right side and the back wall and the left wall, floor to ceiling and 2 aisles, it was all horror movies, science fiction, B movies, alien conspiracy tapes. That was the room. And my brother and I, we'd go there. We would bypass the whole front section and immediately generally go down to into that room. And we spent all of our time picking out our movies from that room. So I spent years every Friday night looking at all these different horror movie covers. That is why I collect VHS tapes now, is I'm trying to regain that nostalgia of going to Classic Family Video, which is no longer there. It's now some thrift store. I was super bummed that they went out of business or sold out or whatever. There is another video store here in town, but I never go there because they just rent Blu-rays, and that's not the same. It's not Classic Family Video with the special horror room. The covers bring back so much nostalgia for me that's why I collect tapes. Especially in the month of October, I remember it was super fun to go there because it was all horror, and like every single Friday through Sunday was like a Halloween horror movie marathon, and it was just excellent fun. So I thought that for this video I'd tell you that story, kind of give you a brief description of Classic Family Video, and also show you the tape I probably saw the most as a kid in the video store. I finally got a copy of it a while back, and that is the tape of The Dead Pit. And if you can see, this cover is 3D. So, like, this is all plastic here. And the best part about it, hopefully this works because I try not to press the button too often, but if you press the button, his eyes light up. This is why I collect tapes, guys. The copy we had at Classic Family Video was totally busted up. Like, I remember when it was all intact, but over the years, it was like busted, like it broke, because it's hard to find these in this good a shape, or in as good a shape as this. But this is like one of my holy grail tapes, and I was super stoked when I found it. I hope you enjoyed my brief VHS story. I could talk about tapes for hours, as you probably all know. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you like these videos, give me a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram at Amy's Autopsy Report, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Oh, yeah.
And now, a word from our sponsors. Today's episode of Retrographic Horror is brought to you by sad ladies staring out at the ocean. Has life got you down? Is every new moment like a searing hot needle stabbed deep into your anus? Does nothing even matter, so why bother trying? Then you're not watching enough Retrographic Horror. Don't make the doggy cry. Retrographic Horror. I've known our next guest for many, many years, and I could say without any hesitation at all that he is the kindest, most caring, and empathetic grave robber I have ever met. For one thing, he always reburies the dead, no matter what. For another, he doesn't have sex with them. Now that is job commitment. Anthony Rapino and Mr. Tony of the Dead have known each other even longer. And of Mr. Tony of the Dead, Anthony Rapino had this to say. Who? Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's a horror fan, I guess. Anthony Rapino is the fucking worst. But Mr. Tony of the Dead is a good guy. Please welcome him to Retrographic Horror.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Mr. Tony of the Dead here, and I'm honored by Mr. Anthony Rapino, Candy Corn Apocalypse, to be a part of this. And the question is, what is an early memory of mine from VHS, the VHS days? Back when I was 5 and 6, and I have the tape around here somewhere, is we had a store, and I can't remember the name of the store. It was like a mom and pop kind of store. And the location is still there. It's just now it's a Hallmark. But you go in and they would do one of those videotapes. They would videotape your child, like his height, his what he looks like. It's basically like a profile kind of thing in case you were ever kidnapped or stolen or lost or whatever. They would have this tape to go by on what you looked like, and it was done in the video store, like I said. And the first thing I remember is they go, "What do you want? You walk around a little bit for us." And I started walking. The camera pans at me and it stops to where it's going to stop, and I kept going. And I just remember, this is the only memory I really have of it, except for like a little bit of them asking me questions. But I remember when I first got into that store, I wanted to go over to the side, and there were these Disney movies, like the cartoons in the gold cases. And I remember I wanted to go and check those out. For when I was 5, that caught my eye. Like I always say, like cases that catch your eye. That one, those really caught my eye back in the day. Nice bright gold cases. I really wanted them. So I actually, while I'm getting interviewed for this, walked over there to check them out. And they're like, and my mom was like, "Tony, where are you? We can't see you." Like, she could tell she was frustrated with me, but she was concerned at the same time, like where are you? But came back to the interview and nailed it, and I was never lost. And well, I'm lost, but you get it. But another memory I have, and this has to do with the movie Halloween, actually. In Weatherly, where I used to live in Pennsylvania, there was a little mom and pop store on the corner. I don't remember the name of it. It was just a normal name, and they would always have the specials. You know, on Tuesday nights you rent so many for a certain price. And back then I used to rent a lot, and I wasn't super into horror like I am now. My mom was introducing me a lot of stuff, which is weird because she later on in life wasn't into horror, and I ended up being a big horror fan. But she introduced me to the movie Halloween. So she's like, "You got to see this movie." I'm like, "Okay." So we watched it, and I really liked it. And then I remember we were going to rent the second one, and she's like, "This picks up right after the first one." So it was just a cool moment, cool memory back then. And also when I went in there, there was a big poster on the wall of Army of Darkness. And I am one of those people that had no idea that Evil Dead was connected to that. And I watched Army of Darkness first. That's another thing I rented back then. I watched Army of Darkness first, and then later on I saw Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. So I went backwards in a way. So that's an early memory of that. And later on, when I was a teenager and that, I would go into Hollywood Video a lot. And there was like a couple friends that I had working in there, so I was in there a lot, and connected to it was a game crazy. So between video games and movies, I had at the time I had a job delivering pizza, and I got delivered I got delivered under the table. I got paid under the table every week. So, and I had no bills. I lived at home, no rent. So my money was my money. Well, let's just say I bought a lot of video games and a lot of movies. And around that time was the transition of the VHS and the DVD. But I still stuck with the VHS. I had a lot, and I was getting more into horror then, but not like I was now. A lot of people say, "How come you haven't seen this movie yet? Where are you living under a rock? Or how could you not have seen this?" Well, because I started way late in the game, and also I have to review a lot of stuff, and I don't get a chance really to watch what I want. So if I say I didn't see Suspiria yet, give me a break. I will get to it. There's a lot of stuff I haven't gotten to. So there's that. I really wish I could say that I had more Halloween movie-related things to talk about, like renting around Halloween back then. Because I think back then I didn't go out and rent, and my parents didn't take me out to rent a horror movie and that. I would mainly just watch what was on TV, like like every Friday the 13th, they always have the Friday the 13th movies on TV. Back then I would just watch, because it was horror movies pretty much all month of October. I mainly just watched them on TV because back then you had Nickelodeon, who, you know, had a lot of cool Halloween horror specials, and there was always like other stations that had like Halloween all month long. So I was really more occupied watching that on TV than I was going out and renting a movie. And you know, it's unfortunate, but yet it's not something I would that I regret, I should say, because I always had a great Halloween and I always had a great October, so I must have did something right. But that's it. That's my memories for right now that I can remember. But thanks again, Tony, for inviting me to do this, and that's it.
Once again, friends, our time has come to a close. As I stare out into the darkening sky, and I think back to better times, I can't help but remember the many trips to the local video store with my friends and my brother. When we were young, renting a movie was an event. It was something to look forward to. Not just the watching of the movie, but the entire ordeal. Searching the seemingly endless aisles of videotapes. The choosing of the perfect movie. The preparation of the snacks. And finally, the ultimate viewing of said movie. I remember these times, but more importantly, I share them with others, and I try at every turn to recreate those magical moments. From all of us here at Retrographic Horror, may all of your memories be memorable. Good night.